Hi everyone, welcome to Lucid Mains program by Ekam IAS. Today we will deal with an important topic, that is trade war. This was there in the news as US imposed 25% tariff on steel import from other countries including India and 25% tariff on $50 billion worth of Chinese products recently. So what's a tariff? Tariff is a tax to be paid on a particular class of import or export, like in a situation where an imported product is of low cost than the domestic product, then the consumer will go for the low cost imported product than the costly domestic product. For example, if imported steel costs rupees 100 per kg and domestic steel costs rupees 110 per kg, then it is obvious that consumers will go for imported steel with rupees 100. But this will hurt the domestic producers and government will intervene here by imposing a tariff on imported product. Let us assume that after imposing a 20% tariff, now the cost of imported steel is rupees 120. So now the thing is clear that consumer will opt domestic product of rupees 110 as imported product become costly now. So this way of imposing tax on imported or exported product is known as tariff. So when US imposed a tariff on China, China retaliated by imposing a counter tariff against US imported product to China. Later, US again imposed 10% tariff on 200 billion worth of import from China, leading both these countries at the verge of a trade war. So this kind of move by a countries trying to damage each other's trade by imposing tariff or other kind of method is what is trade war. So, is this beneficial for these countries or not? In one way, it is helpful as it helps the domestic producers to regain the market. But on the other hand, it hurt the other producers or manufacturers who are depending on this raw material. As I told you earlier, they used to get imported steel for just 100 rupees. But now, after tariff on import, they have to buy the domestic steel which is of 110 rupees. That is 10 rupees more than the earlier. So this will have repercussion on the economy, as when the raw material price is increasing, automatically their product price also increases. So depending on the number and type of imported product on which the tariff is imposed, the impact also will vary from minor inflation to greater impact on the economic growth. Altogether, it is not considered as good, as all the countries involved in this trade war usually gets hurt in one way or other way. So before getting to the details, like reason for this trade and impact, let us go through the history of trade. For the past 5 centuries, powerful Western countries has been controlling the trade either by rules or by war. Later, they chosen to control the trade by rules than war, as it is cheaper than the later. For this, they made World Trade Organization and made rules for the trade. And US and European Union were the main brain behind this rule making. And both of them committed to zero bound duty, believing that low import duties are essential for growth. But they could not see China and its growth as a manufacturing hub. So what China did is, they made their own rules often, and US and European Union have not been able to beat China in trade. Being committed to not to raise the import duties, their new plan was to form rules on e-commerce, where US firms has an edge. But on the other hand, other members of WTO wanted a solution on the already agreed issues like reduction in agricultural subsidies rather than introducing new issues. But the US had no interest in these issues at all. And unable to bully the developing countries the way they have been doing earlier, US left with no hope. And consensus-driven process is going on WTO, which leaves no space for US and EU, and hence wanted to weaken WTO. And as per the latest move, US President decided to impose tariff on steel, violating WTO rules, causing a turmoil in the whole global trade. So this is the history which led to trade war. Now let us move towards the reason for this trade war. One of the reason is US is not getting enough out of global trading system. Instead, it is making loss. And another thing is US is having high trade deficit with China and somehow want to balance this. Next is due to China following its own rule in international trade, like currency manipulation, that is by devaluation of renminbi. Then technology theft or intellectual property theft by forcing foreign firms to transfer technology under the tag of joint venture program or through cyber hacking. Next is the restriction on cloud computing industry through withholding license to US cloud computing firms to operate independently in China. This prevents American companies from marketing their cloud computing services in China, whereas Chinese companies' operation in US are not subjected to restriction in US. Next is about the state-owned enterprises. Here, US accused that Chinese state-owned enterprises are the reason for world's overproduction on steel, as they are getting subsidies and cheap finance from government, which wipe off other competitors and cause market distortion. In the similar way, US has accused China of violating trade rule with government subsidies, such as tax breaks to increase export. Next is the trend of protectionism all over the world. Both internal politics and external factors have caused some countries to adopt protectionism. And another one is America First policy of US President, by which he is trying to make America great again through his policies which are going against the free trade. And the final one is US aversion towards Made in China 2025 policy, as this policy provides subsidies towards 10 key industries including aircraft, new energy vehicle, etc. As you can see in the picture given here. That's all about the reason. Next we will see the impact of trade war on different entities like on WTO, on US, China, India, etc. So first let us see the impact on WTO. As US imposed this tariff without notifying WTO, it will damage the agreement under WTO, indicating WTO is losing its relevance. It seems that US and EU, that is European Union, already feels like WTO can no longer push their agenda, though the developing world is still having the faith in WTO. More than that, US also systematically blocked the appointment of new appellate body members. If no appointment is made, will be destroyed, as it needs 3 core members to decide disputes. Thus, it will destroy the appeal mechanism of WTO. So, that's all about the impact on WTO. Now, let us see the impact on US. It would hit many American companies which are operating in China and will disrupt their supplies of component and assembly work due to retaliatory measure that will be taken by China. China imposed tariff on imported products from US to China like soybeans, cotton, etc., which will threaten US farmers. And according to data, goods trade is in favor of China, with US having high trade deficit, and it is unlikely that trade deficit will change due to protectionist measures. Instead, the common people of America will end up paying more for their made in America products. And there will be cascading effects like inflation due to increased price. That is what I explained in the beginning about tariff. Hence, make the life of common people miserable. Next is loss of jobs. US companies located in US will shift their investment to other countries, as product manufactured in US will attract more tariff in other countries market like China, Europe as a retaliatory measure, hence causing job loss. So next we will see the impact on China. It is said that China will not have much impact, and as per report, China would appeal to WTO dispute settlement body for adjudication, and if appeal is admitted by WTO, China will have an upper hand, whereas US has so far ignored WTO. And still, there will be some impact on China's export trade as it is losing US market, and a slight impact on the economic growth, but will not have much impact, and there is a chance of some collateral effect on the confidence of people also. Now let us see the impact on India. India will have both negative and positive impacts. India will not have any direct impact as India have only 4% of steel export and 2% of aluminium export to US. It may have a direct impact only if it is expanding to other metals which constitute a bigger share of India's export basket. But there will be indirect impact due to interest rate hike by US Federal Bank. In 2008, due to recession in the economy, developed countries cut their interest rate to zero level. So India was benefiting out of that move as it attracted a lot of money to India because India provide a better interest rate compared to zero interest provided by the developed countries like US. Now, with US economy picking up the growth, US Federal Bank, that is their central bank, have started raising their interest rate. If this trade war is causing inflation, Federal Bank will be forced to raise the interest rate, and this may lead to capital outflow from emerging market like India as US interest rate will give better return. So this will be a backlash for India and other emerging market. And India have a trade surplus with US and US has already expressed concern over this. And in data given in the picture, you can see an increase in the trade from 2014 to 18, that is of India to US. So in that case, India's membership to GSP program will be threatened. GSP means Generalized System of Preference, where duty-free trade will be allowed by US for certain countries. At present, India is a beneficiary under this program with having permission to export about 3,500 different products to US at low tariff. If US is going to review India's eligibility, it may be a negative impact on India. And if this trade war is going on, will impact the dollar inflow to the country, losing value of rupee against the dollar. And access to technology in different area will be restricted and become more expensive. Another thing is, this reversed trend of trade will impact the idea of India becoming a manufacturing hub and will derail the dream of Make in India program. But there are some positive impact also, like China is giving concession to India under Asia-Pacific trade agreement over some goods like soybean, chemicals, etc. Hence, India will get an opportunity to enter Chinese market and replace US. And it will help India to balance the trade deficit with China. As US imposed a tariff on Chinese electronics, India must focus to fill this gap by promoting electronic manufacturing schemes like EMCIPs. So that's all about the impact on India. Next, let us see the impact on other countries or the global impact. Along with US companies, there are many foreign companies operating in China. All this will be affected. If Chinese goods can make its way to US, there is a chance of dumping this to other market, which may trigger protective tariff again. And this kind of protectionism, if further increased, will have an impact on global growth also. And there is a chance of flight of capital from emerging market, as I said earlier, in the impact of India. And many countries may face the grudge of inflation, which will cause their currency value and interest rate to move constantly, which even may lead to a currency war if countries try to depreciate their currency to overcome this situation. So that's all about the impact. And now let us move on to the way forward. What is the need of the hour is a coalition of sensible countries that will take world trade forward while a few countries are disrupting the trade. And negotiation must be done between US and China to help diffusing the tension between them. And can take the problem to WTO dispute settlement body, thus placing global trade back on track. And India must take a stand without causing harm to either side, that is both China and US, and must push for multilateralism. And most importantly, India must focus on Indian financial market to make it adaptable with significant volatility and stress from combined effect of global trade and the domestic changes. So that's all about the work forward. Thank you.